All right, welcome to another college football playoff edition of the Parrots Pick, brought to you by Lindus Construction here in the Lindus studio. Hey guys, it's New Year's Eve. Can you get any better than that? We're going to end the 2024 with a great podcast. And before we get started, though, we do got to talk about a really special day today.
It is a special day.
Moose! Happy birthday!
I was hoping you'd forget. I'm not going to lie.
I know you've already gotten a birthday gift this morning, so, I mean, that's awesome.
That's fabulous.
Congratulations.
Congratulations on that big birthday gift this morning, buddy.
Yeah, you suckers.
It wasn't that big. That's what I've heard.
So what, how old, Moosey?
44.
44.
All right, Moose is 44. Ending the year on a great note, huh? So then we're going to get in here and talk some football. But, you know, what's your big plans for your birthday today? Besides spending time with us three?
Yeah, you don't laugh. I have a couple meetings today, which I can't complain. People are signing up, so that's more money in my pocket.
There you go.
Just going out to eat tonight. Going to head home early and take it easy.
Huh.
Maybe I'll watch the ball drop.
Did you get an invite for dinner?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Usually people invite me.
So you don't want us to show up?
You guys don't even know where I'm going.
Well, that's most
Hey, we're going out to eat together, so we
Yeah.
could just start a tab underneath Moose's name.
Yeah.
I'd stop and pay it.
not a
I'd stop
bad
and pay
deal.
it for you guys.
Okay. All right.
We're gonna
Perfect.
do that.
You heard that.
Awesome. I did hear that.
All right. But seriously, happy birthday.
Thank you.
And we wish nothing but great wishes, birthday wishes on you, and
spin
another
around
great
there.
year. And hopefully you're here for a couple more years.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
Make it to our age would be good.
All right. Well, hey, let's talk some college football because there's
Let's
some
do
good
it, man. This
games
I'm
coming
excited
up.
about, man. This is good stuff.
Let's kind of talk about the first four games were really not as good as I kind of predicted some better games. I think you guys are kind of going a little bit more on the line, thinking there was going to be some blowouts, but of course, we have a little bit of inside desire for Texas to win, and that was like the only game that came close to the spread. So what did you guys think about the first four games?
What do you think, Per? How about the Tennessee-Ohio State game? That game surprised you?
Well, the thing that caught me by surprise there, I knew that receiver for Ohio State was good, but I didn't know he was that good. I mean, he's the level of Marvin Harrison Jr. as a true freshman. I mean, he's an absolute man-child. And after seeing the way they went after Tennessee, I was pretty impressed by. I still hate Ryan Day, but you got to respect him. He had his team ready to play. Had home field advantage. And, they could have played that game 20 times. They'd have beat Tennessee every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same thing, but I'll be honest, I didn't know much about Tennessee. I'd seen them a couple times playing, but just kind of going off from what you guys were saying on how good their defense was. But
No.
I'm starting to think that, a little bit that you two might not know what you're talking about because I think if Tennessee had a defense, it never got off the bus, Parrot. It didn't. And
Ohio State was ready to play, and like I said, they had that plan. And that receiver, Jeremiah Smith. He is absolutely incredible. I'm obviously I like Ryan Williams down at Alabama, but that Ohio State kid, he's a different level.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's quite a few good freshmen, specifically in that receiver spot this year, and that's one that they've been talking about with Williams, right, in Alabama. But yeah, he played well, and it was just I don't know. To your point, though, right? There was a lot of talk. There was even some scuttlebutt with Herb Street and a few others about Ryan Day, where he's at, right, and all that stuff. There was some going back and forth, but at the end of the day, he got it done. Now the big question comes to the next game, right, to the Ohio State-Oregon game. Like, can he do it again? Oregon's a little bit different, right, than in Tennessee, but at the same time, right, if you come and you got your game plan figured out, it was a close game the first game too. So, I think Oregon has been somewhat of a clear-cut number one, but I would not say at the end of the day, the best number one team because they've had some close games. So I think
even with us.
Well, yeah. We took them right down to the wire, and if you had a better coaching staff and a better quarterback, which, we're right there. We had an opportunity, but obviously decisions weren't made. But then you had the first Ohio State game, then you had the Boise State game. So they've had some really close games, and it'll be interesting to see how Ryan Day handles this game. I think there's going to be even more pressure on him, right, Parrot? in a sense that you got to win this one. So it'll be interesting to see how Ohio State comes out and attacks Oregon.
Well, I mean, I'm not a big fan of Oregon. You look back at that Wisconsin game. You guys are obviously very familiar with that. That fourth down play in the fourth quarter goes the other way. Anything can happen. And I think the Badgers could have won that game, which just speaks to Badgers aren't as terrible as people think. Who knows? Maybe they could turn things around quicker, but I don't think Oregon's as good as people think either. Because first game of the year, they almost got beat by Boise State. It was a one score game. So in today's, we'll talk about it later, but that's one of the things I think Ohio State's just going to come out and play and probably win by more than one score is what I'm thinking.
It's crazy.
Really?
That's crazy that they're favored. I mean, in this, you'd think, a number 8 versus number 1 seed, you'd think at least the 1 seed would be favored, but they are not. Right now, they are a 2-point dog to the Buckeyes, so that'll be a good challenge. That'll be a good game, man.
I did not know that Oregon was the underdog until just now.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
2-point dogs.
Wow. So who do you got there? I mean, what are you thinking there then at the end of the day?
I've got Ohio State in that one. I'll probably money line them just to take the win. If I have to give a little juice on the number, so be it. But I'm on Ohio State today on that one. But I honestly think they're going to win by more than one score. They're just a better team. You look at the salary cap or the NIL money they have, number 1 in the country. They've got the best talent, and maybe the best thing that happened to them was getting kicked in the shins by the Wolverines to get their stuff straight. But I guess we'll find out tomorrow at 4:00.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you said it perfect. I agree. It amazes me. How do you lose to Michigan and then come out and just topple Tennessee? And we'll see. Yeah, I think I agree with you, Garrett.
All right. Well, that's going to be a dandy. Well, the game below that we're probably the most, and it starts off tomorrow, the college football playoff, is Texas versus Arizona State. A Texas team that I think a lot of people have, kind of put as a favorite to get to the national title game, which I think they're definitely one of the favorites for sure. But it's going to be interesting, right? Of all the games, like we kind of said as we brought this show on, that's the game that was the closest by the spread. And, to your point, a fourth down play, Wisconsin, Oregon, right? But how about that fourth down play? Gibby was losing his mind if they make that fourth down play and go in and probably score. But what a great game that was. Just back and forth, good, big plays all over the field. It was a great game. Texas obviously ended up winning by 14, but that was a fun game. And now they face Arizona State, the 4 seed. The old Big 12 versus the new Big 12. It's kind of just a cliche of parodies here. It'll be a great game.
What do you got on that one, Garrett? We got a 12. We're down 2 points, which is a great thing. We were up to 14.5. Now our team Texas is only favored by 12.5. That 2 points it's a big 2 points.
Well, two scores there too. So
right,
exactly. I mean, how oftentimes are games, a touchdown and two field goals, 13 points for the win? I'll take that on our side with we got Texas. But once again, I'm a big fan of Arizona State's coach, young guy. I mean, he's got a lot of energy to him. He's turned that program around. You can kind of see what he was doing, and he's got that running back, Cam Scatterbo.
Yeah.
I mean, he is fun. He is got a chip on his shoulder. He's got the talent. I mean, he's basically Mike Allstott type running back, but more wiggle to him, and he's just fun to watch.
Yeah, they compare him to like the NBA. Yeah, they were calling him the Allstott. Then some people compared him, obviously to McCaffrey, which I think McCaffrey's got more speed and a little more shake possibly than because Scatterbo said that he should have won. I mean, like you mentioned, he's got a chip on his shoulder. Well, especially when he says he should have won the Heisman.
No, he's fun, and I mean, they've got the injury at wide receiver, which was their number 1 receiver. He's out, with that arm injury, but they still got a great coach, great quarterback, and a motivated team. It's just kind of fun. In the world of NIL, they're nowhere near the top of the heap, but the whole team has a chip on their shoulder. And if it's close late, I mean, anything can happen. And we got Texas as our team in the pool we're playing. But in this game specifically, I'm on Arizona State because I'll take those points. That's a lot of points, and I just think they're gonna keep it close.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. What's their defense like? That's the one thing I don't know. I haven't watched. I don't think one lick of an Arizona State game. It's a stadium you should if you get a chance to get to Arizona night game, you gotta go It is awesome. I've been there. It's great. But I haven't seen them this year at all, really, at Parrots. So defensively, are they a sound team? You know, are they going to be able to keep up with Texas? I know you kind of said you think they're going to cover, but how about defensively? Can they slow down Ewers in the passing game of Texas?
Well, historically, for years and years, those Big 12 games were, 40-40 or, high scoring affairs. Arizona State has a decent defense, but have they played against the SEC level of offense? Probably not. So the question you raise, well, if it gets into a scoring fest, Texas might just be able to run them out of the building. And, that's definitely a possibility. But if I'm Arizona State, I'm going to run the ball, going to make it a shorter game, control the clock, minimize the possessions. And if they do that, I mean, I think how they control the ball on offense is probably going to depend on how well their defense plays, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think the one thing that I'm going to hold true to our team and take Texas, I think they're going to win just through their offensive power. And Texas defense they're not bad, right? And they've been able to slow teams down at time, but I just don't think Arizona State will be able to keep up with them scoring. Because a running game, right? If you do get behind, it's a little harder to continue to run the ball to get back into it unless you pop a couple big ones. So I'm going to take Texas there to cover, and we're going to move on to the next round of playoffs and keep our team rolling. Hopefully,
let's go.
All right, up to top there, Notre Dame, Georgia. I was obviously wrong with Notre Dame not losing to Indiana. Now Indiana did come back, but kind of made it a game at the end, but not really. But I will, again, Notre Dame will go down.
Just no love for Notre Dame.
Real quick, let's talk about that Indiana head coach who talked trash all year, and then even like literally 30 minutes before the game is talking trash, and then actually coached the game so conservatively it was embarrassing.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree with that.
I'm happy for Indiana. Good for them. They turned the program around. Everything's cool. But you can't talk that much smack, and then when you're on the big stage, you just hide in your shell. I mean, that guy needs to be called out until he proves otherwise, because he talked a big game, but he personally didn't back it up.
Well, I think he was called out quite a bit by the players of Notre Dame, right? They kind of went after him pretty good. There were some pretty good comments made, and I think he got humbled a few times this year, by the Ohio State game, now by Notre Dame. So I'm with you. Like, when you talk that much, you got to be able to back it up. And if you can't back it up, right, you got to know when to shut up or put up. And I think that's, I think like you said, like in today's world with the NIL and all that, you got to have that coach that has a little chip on his shoulder, I think. But you also got to know with social media and everything else today, like everything's going to get out. You might want to tone it down before you're on a bulletin board, all over a bulletin board, I should say. So I would agree with you on that, Parrot. I think that's one thing that, Marcus Freeman for Notre Dame, he doesn't say much, right? He's a quiet coach. They're talking if he beats Georgia, it's something that, Brian Kelly couldn't do. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of interesting in a couple, just think about where Freeman was just in the last couple of years, lost a bowl game when they were up against, was it Stanford? Remember that bowl game a couple of years ago? Whatever. But, he's made some questionable coaching decisions that I think people were wondering, like, is he the right coach for Notre Dame? But, hey, they won the first game, beat Indiana, team that, was kind of, I don't know, hot sort of for the year, right? And now you're facing Georgia, which they have a good opportunity.
Yeah, and they're only a 1-point dog in that game.
Yeah, well, I mean, you lose Carson back. I mean, that's a big deal, right? Mm-hmm. And so Georgia now, they've had a week and a half or longer than that technically to get Stockton ready. So I think offensively they'll be fine. But I just don't know if Notre Dame's offense can hold up to Georgia's defense. Georgia's always got a good defense. Yeah. Kirby Smart's a good coach.
What do you got on that one with the 1-point spread there, Garrett?
I'm on Georgia on that one just because I think they're a deeper team, and just losing a quarterback's not that huge of a thing because Beck didn't play really well all year. He's a good quarterback, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're falling off the table with the second string guy they got in there. I'm going to go with Georgia. I think it's going to be close, but Georgia's going to pull this one off, I think.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Yeah, your call out about Carson Beck, like, it is tough when you lose a quarterback no matter how good they are, sort of, right? But your point is really valid there that he did not have the season that I think everybody expected him to. And if he would have, they probably would have been the number one team.
Did we say a 1-point spread on that game?
Yeah.
Georgia's favored by 1.
Yeah, of course. We got the bigger spread.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
I mean-
at one point, I'd be pretty confident if I was Georgia.
I mean, jeepers. All right, let's go over to the big game tonight. I think the one that is going to get a ton of viewership tonight, obviously with New Year's Eve and stuff, but I just think people want to see, is Boise State a team that can, be on the big stage and contend with the likes of the Big Ten, the SEC, all these bigger conferences. So Penn State favored by 11 over Boise State. You know where I'm going. BSU, baby.
Yeah, I know.
I just want to see a good game. And
no wonder Scribner's going BSU. That's what he's full of.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I like the underdogs a little bit like this, and I've kind of said last time, I remember in Parrot, you kind of agreed when Boise State used to call teams out, say, "I will play anywhere, and anybody, it doesn't matter, we'll come to you." And they're a team that has always been up there, right? They're not always the best, but they do show up. I go back to the Oklahoma game years ago where they do show up on the big stage and play well, and I think this is where they're going to do that again. I think they're going to cover in my eyes, but I still think they might beat them. I'm just not sold on Penn State. And
I'm with you. I'm with you. Here's one for you. I saw something the other day. This game is played in Phoenix or in down at the Cardinals Stadium, the exact same site where the Boise State played Oklahoma.
Oh, really?
And here's one for you. That was 18 years ago.
Oh, man.
Just think about how quick life goes by, because it wasn't that long ago when Boise just made their name on the national stage by winning that one. But to think it's 18 years ago kind of is a kick in the shins a little bit. But
it is a kick in the shins.
Once again, Boise State has a chip on their shoulder. They almost beat Oregon earlier in the year. I mean, 11 points is a huge number. I'm on Boise State if you give me the points, and I might even get creative and chase a money line for Boise State as well, because I think they can win this thing.
What's the spread on that one?
11.
11 right now.
For Penn State?
I mean, the thing that sticks out to me with Penn State, when they played SMU at home, just think of all the turnovers that they had handed to them. If Boise doesn't turn the ball over, they control the ball, Penn State might be in for a little more than they think they're going to get. So Boise's the play on this one.
And the big one that we got to talk about is Ashton Genty. I tell you what, he arguably, second in the Heisman. I mean, that boy can run the football, and I'm excited to see him tonight running the rock. A really interesting statistic on him, and we want to give a little shout out to one of our big sponsors, Vital Systems. So we call it the Vital Systems Stat of the Week. Parrot, I was looking this up. Ashton Genty has 1,800 yak yards. It's unbelievable. 1,800 yards after contact. And it's kind of interesting, too, when you look at some of the company that he's with. Actually, every single one of them is in the NFL right now. But it's interesting. He broke the record by 500 yards. Chubba Hubbard's number 2, believe it or not, with 1,800 yak yards. That's absolutely incredible. Of his 2,500 yards, 1,800 of them come after contact.
Crazy. Yeah. Well, here's another one to consider. I don't have it in front of me right now, but you're looking at Saquon Barkley at the NFL level. He's challenging Eric Dickerson's season record of 2,150 yards or whatever it is. But when you break down the number of carries that Eric Dickerson had when he had that number compared to Saquon Barkley with the number of carries that he's had this year,
exactly.
Saquon got 30 or 40 fewer carries on the season than Eric Dickerson.
Exactly.
And the same thing holds true when you look at Ashton Genty compared to Barry Sanders. Now, granted, it's not as crazy, but when you look at the number of carries Barry Sanders had the season, he put up 2,700 yards rushing, and compared to what Ashton Genty's doing this year, yards per carry number of carries to get the yards that they have, it's actually pretty comparable. So that puts in perspective just how incredible of a year Genty has had this year.
Well, yeah, but that's where you go back, because I always go back to Wisconsin where they were complaining about Gentry not winning the Heisman, and you had Melvin Gordon, one less carry, 200 and some yards more. And I think Gordon had the same amount of rushing touchdowns, but 2 more receiving touchdowns. And it's where was the complaint back then, right? When I thought Gordon should have won it, but he was a freak of nature too. But it's a good point that some of these guys are putting up huge numbers with less carries, and I think that's where you're going there, right? I mean, that was amazing.
Historic year by the kid from Boise. I mean, he's going to be a great NFL player too, I think, because he can receive the ball.
Yeah. Well, it's just the way the yards after contact. I mean that stat sometimes is a little bit goofy, right? Because if it's just a little hit, no big deal. But He's got somewhere he's getting smoked, spin moves coming out, getting bounced around. He keeps his feet, and then he breaks it off. That's what I like about him. He's low to the ground, low center of gravity. And he is just able to keep his feet moving, and he just finds his balance, and off he goes. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, Genty's going to be so much fun to watch. And the thing about it is, too, a lot of times when you think about yak yards and yards after contact, you think of a Derrick Henry-type body style because he's so big. But, I mean, Genty, listed at 5'9", 215, which probably means he's 5'7", 215. It's just incredible to know just how tough this kid is.
Just 5'9",
He's 5'9",
215.
Yeah.
It's a bowling ball, man.
With some speed and some balance. He's a stud.
All
You
right,
guys are talking me into. I'm even bigger on Boise now than I was earlier. They're going to cover this thing easy and maybe even win it.
Garrett's going to go on right after this and place that.
All right.
All right, that is the 4 main games here coming up today and tomorrow for the college football playoff. Again, brought to you by Linda's Construction. Hey, we do got to touch on one other big game today at noon, right? Alabama, Michigan. Are the Wolverines going to stomp Alabama there, Garrett?
No.
I kind of knew that one.
But and here's why. They've had some transfer folks hit the portal at the Alabama roster, but for opt-outs of this game, I mean, they've got pretty much everybody back. They've got their big left tackle. He's going to play. Milroe, I'm not the biggest fan of his, but he's a good college quarterback. I think they're just going to end on a high point of this season, and it's going to be a good day for the Tide.
Awesome. I'm surprised you're not going to the game.
Well, I got to save up my money to go to the Wisconsin-Alabama game.
There we
Travis
go.
and I'll head down to Tuscaloosa next September, so got to get a bus ticket paid for. So
There you go.
Well, we do have two other big games we want to talk about. One is a shout out to our sponsor, Gibby's Lanes. They're going to have this weekend. I know we talked a little bit about Parrot, got a little chuckle on you, but Gibby's Lanes is for the game against the Bears are actually going to have a bear cookout. They're going to be serving bear. The doors open at 10, and I believe the food will be served right around 11, and the kickoff will be a noon start there. And, that's a good little picture you got there, Moosey, although that will be the Bears that will be getting smoked on Sunday. So what do you think?
We're all going to laugh if it's not. Oh, my God.
And the thing is, too, we're going to have we're going to start the game out, a little pre-gaming with the Scrib and Gib podcast. We have some fun things in store for everybody that's going to show up. We may have some trivia. We'll have a good time to kick that game off at Lambeau Field, noon kickoff again.
Yeah, it'll be fun, right? The bear will be getting roasted on the grill.
On the grill.
And on the field.
A smoker.
And on the field as well, as the Packers will end the season on a high note, get ready for the playoffs to roll into a Super Bowl.
What do you think about that one, Garrett?
Well, who needs to be roasted is the Bears coaching staff. I mean, have you seen
who's left?
It's unbelievable. I've never seen poor clock management over and over again. It's embarrassing, and I hate the Bears. I mean, you can't even manage an NFL team worse than they've done. Now, is their talent as good as we think it is, or we thought it was coming in? Maybe not, but you got to be kidding me. Well, what's nice about the Vikings and the Packers, now granted, there's a rivalry there, but both teams are incredibly well coached. No question about it. It's not even close compared to how poorly coached the Bears are. And that's who needs to be roasted is their coaching staff and, frankly, their ownership group as well.
Yeah, I guess when they were going off the last game, the whole crowd was just saying, sell the team.
Well,
I mean, you know what I mean?
I laugh at the whole thing, but it speaks to how bad it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it'll be interesting, right? I mean, do the Bears end on a high note and knock off the Pack? I don't think so. I think Packers coming off the disappointing game against the Vikings where they, again, got down big and then fought back. I don't get it. It's kind of frustrating. I know the Vikings are a very, very good team, but again, there's opportunities in that game where if you just play your game like they did in the fourth quarter, I'm not going to say they're going to win because you never know how the rest of the game is going to play out, right? I mean, that's where I kind of always like, if you just play the game like you did the fourth quarter, well, the Vikings are going to play the fourth quarter and the third quarter a little bit different, right? When you get up, you do every team slow plays a little bit, right? Because there's at some point you want to waste clock and get towards the end of the game. So I think you can't always say that. But I do think it's one that's questionable, like 2 games in a row where the Packers got down big and then come back. And, in both games, they were firing on all cylinders there in that end of the third, fourth quarter. But yet, you can't get it done. So how do you prepare yourself for the playoff run that, Green Bay fans and Green Bay wants to see and have? So it'll be interesting how they kind of come out, because to me, you got to hit the game on Sunday like you want to hit the game in the playoffs. So that's my take.
They're 9-point favorite against the Bears. They're going to steamroll the Bears. That 9 points is not scary to me. Packers big.
Well, we'll move on to here so we can wrap up this show for us today. The big game, let's not bullshit a bullshitter here, is at 7 o'clock on Sunday. Boy, is that a big matchup between your Minnesota Vikings
That's right.
and the Detroit Lions for the number 1 seed. And it's incredible by the way they set these playoffs up. The winner of that game gets home field advantage.
The
loser goes on the bye, and the loser goes on the road.
Isn't that crazy?
And they're both 14 win. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, but before we get Parrots' take on it, let's give Moose his justice. No. Are you on the train or are you off the train?
Well, I think I'm finally putting a foot on it, because I've been hurt so many times. I've been reluctant, so I'm going to wait till the last week of the season to say, okay, I think we're finally stepping on.
So you're a true bandwagon fan.
Not a bandwagon fan. I always.
That's what I was just saying.
I'm a train fan.
He's a
Train?
trainee fan.
All right.
What kind of fan?
Train fan. Jeepers.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Garrett, give us your breakdown, big dog.
Hey, from a spread standpoint, the Vikings are getting 2.5. That's a gift. So I'll take the Vikings on the point spread. I do think they're going to pull this thing off, just because the Detroit defense, they couldn't stop Brock Purdy last night. 377 yards. The only time that Brock Purdy was screwed up was when he threw it directly to the Detroit defense. I think the Vikings offense is going to put up 35, 40 points, and they're going to hold the Lions less than that. So give me the Vikings for the win.
Yeah, I honest to God truth, I agree. 100%.
I can't.
Scribner
agree.
can't. He can't. He's sitting over here biting his lip.
I love it. I love it.
I can't.
I'm not. Gibby always talks about bet with your
Brain and not your heart.
Yeah, well, that's fine. But I'm not cheering for those clowns.
Okay.
So I'm not going to do it. And this is what I struggle with. If you're a diehard Packer fan, Gibby will be, he puts money on the Vikings. He'll be cheering for him. So then I like to say, well, you're a Viking fan. So it's known right now that Gibby has a little tinge of a purple heart.
I'm a football fan.
And right now, I think if you find him in Braemeier Sunday evening, you might see him hugging. I mean, they might be cheering the same team, and Gibby will have his purple underwear on. So there you go.
Wow, a guy just bets with his brain, and you're purple underwear.
All of a sudden, I'm wearing purple underwear.
Well, I could see you.
Well, that's a little disturbing.
Hey, the stuff he wears, you don't see it.
There you go. No, I just think I can't. So I'm going to stick with Dan Campbell, our friend of the show, and I think it's going to be a great game, though. I will give everyone that. It's going to be a hell of a game, right?
He'll scheme a good game. He's a good coach.
Yeah. And if the one thing I would say is if somehow Detroit can get pressure, I think that's their opportunity. Because the Packers were getting there, but they just couldn't finish a deal. And then every time we didn't finish it, right, they got a big play. So if the Lions are able to finish getting some sacks, I know it's tough with the defense, that could be the difference maker.
What's the line on this game?
2 points.
2.5.
2.5.
Minus 2.5. Yeah.
Minus 2.5.
But I think there's going to be some points scored.
I think it's going to be a close game because just what the Vikings do.
Yeah, it'll be a high scoring game.
Yep.
All right.
Like you said,
is there an over under on this game?
Yeah, 222.
It probably is.
Okay.
I bet I haven't seen it yet, but I bet it's like 54. Let's see what
it's got to be high. I mean, the Vikings can score, and they give up points.
Yeah.
They win close games right now.
58. Goodness, wow.
Holy
that's
man.
Huge for an NFL game. Huge.
Wow, 58. Really?
And it still might be
I would
way
take the
off.
under, unfortunately.
I don't know. I think there's going to be some points. I'm with Garrett here where it could be a high scoring game.
Wow. Yeah.
Anything over 50 is big. 58, that's I don't know if I've seen one that high. A couple years ago, remember when when Goff was playing for the Rams and they played the Chiefs, and it was just a boat race back up and down the field?
Yep.
That was one of the highest scoring games I've ever seen. And that was well over 60. But I mean, maybe that's the type of game we're looking at. But I don't know. I might just leave that over under alone. That one.
That's scary.
Probably a good bet. Leave that one alone and go with your heart.
It's the Vikes.
His brain. Come on.
All right,
All
we
right.
better wrap this thing
All right.
up.
That's a wrap on the Parrots Pick, the College Football Playoff second edition, brought to you by Lindus Construction. Garrett, wishing you a happy New Year's. Have a great night. Enjoy yourself. Watch some football tonight, tomorrow, and then we'll be in touch. Gibby,
Yeah.
Bet.
happy New Year's.
Happy
it's been
New
a
Year's to
great
you guys,
one.
too.
Moose, happy New Year and
New Year's, brother.
happy birthday.
Exactly.
Thanks, boys.
Have a good day, fellas.
All right, we'll see you up here.
See ya.